Hello everybody, my name is James Turnipseed. Welcome to The Walking Dead, the Next World episode recap review. Heads up, spoilers incoming. Description, simple scavenging run proves to be more tricky when the survivors are not the only ones after a gold mine of supplies. So, this episode starts off, it's kind of a weird episode. They've been doing that a lot lately. Starts off with Denise talking to Daryl about a list. So Daryl and Rick are going on a supply run basically, and she gives him a list. And in the bottom there's some soda, and he's like, "You mean the beverage?" And they have a thing where Denise is weird, and she's like, "I'm awkward with girls," type of thing. Basically, she wants to get a certain type of soda for Tara because she was talking about it in her sleep, which is a sweet gesture. And she's like, "If you don't find it, don't worry about it. If you can, if you just see it, then yeah, I'd like it." And Daryl's like, "Okay, cool." So they go on the supply run, and they find a big, not like a big warehouse, but a small warehouse kind of, with the U-Haul in the back. And they find out, not a U-Haul, but it's like a U-Haul. Find a U-Haul trailer truck full of supplies, and they're like, "Sweet, the law of averages." And then the car starts, and they back out, and Daryl finds a big candy machine flipped over. They try to lift it. They use a truck to fill it over. And right as they flip it over, a guy runs, and oh, Jesus is Jesus. He introduces Asari, and they pull guns, and he puts his hands up, and he's like, "You got a camp? No. You got a camp? No." And then they have a conversation, and then he's like, "Oh, sorry I bumped into you, sir," to Rick. And then he tells him that zombies are running from the dead. You have like 11 minutes. Blah 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 blah. And then Rick starts his, "Hi, my name's Rick, and this is Daryl. How many people have you killed?" They get into that, and Daryl's like, "No, not him." And then Jesus runs around and puts firecrackers on a barrel, and they blow up, and they go check, and Jesus stole the truck of supplies. So they chase after him on foot, and they catch up to him, and they tie him up, and then go back in the car, and Daryl gives a finger to the mirror, and he says, "Something, you stupid prick." They're hooked at him, and Rick's like, "Oh, the knots aren't that tight. You should be able to wiggle out when we're gone." So they're not leaving him for dead. So they drive, and they're like, "Oh, look, a barn." And guess who's on the roof of the truck? Jesus. So he slams on the brakes, Jesus falls off, they get into a thing, and the truck, because Daryl and Jesus get into a scuffle while some zombies break free from a tractor, and they hit the, what's that thing called, that you move up on your car, that thing, and the truck backs out into the nearby lake. And a zombie comes behind Daryl, and Jesus tells him duck, and he pulls Daryl's gun and shoots him, and then does that. So they tie him up again, and Daryl says, "Let's put him up a tree," and then they take him back to camp. But that's pretty much the whole episode. But there's two other things in the meantime. Spencer goes out, and he has a shovel and an AK-47 and a knife on him. And Michonne follows him, and she's like, "Where are you going? What are you doing? What are you And he just says he needs to do a thing. And Carl and Eden are out there. They find a note tied to a balloon, but it got wet. And then they're reading, and they're chilling, reading comic books. And then a zombie comes, and she tries to grab Eden, and Carl pushes her away. And Eden also says she doesn't want to be out there no more. And Carl's like, "Go home." Carl's a pretty bad boyfriend when you think about it. In that moment, at least, because you can see the zombie's face. And she's like, "Kill her. She deserves to die. She doesn't deserve to be out here like this." Like, "You said you wouldn't understand. You said you don't want to be out here. Go home." So she goes home, and then Carl like leads the zombie that way, and then Spencer and Michonne find it, and it's Deanna, and that's why Spencer was out there. He saw her like a couple nights ago, and that's why he had a shovel to dig the grave. So he does that, and him and Michonne have a moment about how your mom had like basically Michonne's trying to figure out what Deanna told her about, like, what do you want? And Spencer's like, I never knew what I wanted. That's what like the note said, that like, I forget, but it said like you're on the right path, or you know your way, or something like that, something along the lines of that. And he's like, I never knew my way. And basically she tells him like, I've been following you around the woods all day, like, you love your family, right? He's like, yeah, I did, but they're gone now. And he's like, well, I've been following you out here all day. So I'm like, Michonne's like, we're family, basically. Everyone's a family now. And that's that. They dig a grave, and she carves a D into the tree next to it. And then Carl's with the baby outside, and what are they gonna do with this baby, guys? But he's like talking about the star, like pointing at the star, and she points at it. So clearly the kid's like a year or two old, but she still had a binky in her mouth. And he was telling her a story about their mom and how she would get lost looking for that star. And then Michonne comes, and she's like, what'd you do? You couldn't. He's like, I couldn't kill her. He's like, yes, you could have. And basically Carl tells her like somebody that loved her should have did it for Deanna, and then he would for her. And then they hug, and she's like, I love you too, Carl. Touching. And then Daryl and Rick take Jesus to Denise. So he's in the house now. That's all patched up. He's tied up on a bed. And they put like a glass of water and 2 notes. And then Daryl tells Denise like that thing didn't work out with the sodas. And then they go back to Rick's house, and he's like chilling on the bed. And Michonne's like, move, and they show a picture of the baby on the baby monitor thing. And they're like, look, she's practicing in her sleep. And then they have a moment, and slowly Michonne holds his hand. And you're like, ooh, which if you read the comic, it's basically Michonne's taking the place of Andrea, right? Yeah. And they start smooching and kissing. And then they wake up naked in their bed, covered by a sheet. And then Jesus is like, Rick. And so Jesus is in their bed, and then he's like, in the preview for the next episode, it shows them, like, he's like, we should talk now. And then it shows them all jumping into our RV and going. So Jesus is taking us to the hilltop next week. Plot's thickening, things are changing. It's gonna get good, but I'm hoping it ends soon, and I hope the comic book ends soon, because they're kind of at that point where it's like, what's next, you know? But yeah, so that's it for me. See you guys next week. Feel free to subscribe, and for all the good riveting content such as this, this week we got Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm gonna try to put out a video. So Monday's Unboxed, Wednesday's Tales from Borderlands, and then Friday I'm gonna try to get a comic book review in again. So yeah, peace out, everybody. Follow me on all the things at James Turnipseed. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Gisaboke. Link in the description. JISABOKE. Peace.